Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Leslie Weidenbender, and I'm here at the Indiana State House with Representative Tom Dermody. He is a Republican from LaPorte. Welcome.
Hey, great to be here and halfway through session, so excited to get near the end.
Well, you have a bill actually to help LaPorte County taxpayers. Tell us about that.
Well, we've had a situation in LaPorte County where we're 5 years behind, or we were 5 years behind, and with help of both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats alike, we've put together a bill to incentivize the county to send out tax bills and get caught up so that local units of government, businesses are no longer hurt by the situation when we were the only county that wasn't sending out tax bills. We think by the end of this year, due to legislation last year and this year that hopefully will pass, hopefully next week, we'll be all caught up by the end of this year.
So you're also working on legislation that would make some changes to the state's scholarship programs. Tell us why you thought that was necessary and what those bills would do.
Well, as higher ed chairman, we've been looking to see what we can do to improve the education system in Indiana. And one of the things is we've seen that Indiana has a goal to have 60% of the workforce by 2025 to have some type of certificate or degree. Right now we're at 33%, so we've got some room to improve. Instead of putting a hammer down, we decided how can we incentivize them? And so what we're doing are funding incentives for those kids that are on track to graduate within 4 years. Because what we see is when kids or students go past that 4-year program, and some are needed, some need to do it, but is when they pick up debt, and the longer you go, the less chance of a degree that you do receive. So I think hopefully this bill will incentivize, it holds universities accountable, but more importantly, it holds the student accountable that is at the full-time student looking to go full-time for 4 years.
One of the things it does is it requires universities to do a better job communicating with students, right, about what classes they should be taking. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. You know, there was a survey done by the Higher Ed Commission where they interviewed 9,000 students on financial aid. 75% of them said they're on track for a 4-year degree. Only 50% of them actually are on track to do so. So there's some misnomers, misinformation, and while we don't want to pass blame, we want to improve the situation so these kids can graduate in 4 years.
Do you have any concern that some kids might get sort of lost in the shuffle as you make these changes?
Well, I think kids, by our graduation rate, that only 44% are graduating after 6 years, they're getting lost now. So how do we incentivize them versus just turning our backs and looking the other way and hoping that it'll change on its own, because we're just not seeing it.
Another piece of legislation you have is one that would move up the time when online retailers have to start paying the sales tax. Why does that matter?
Well, I guess you're speaking about the Amazon bill, and I know the state of Indiana has an agreement for January 1, 2014, but what we saw was the reason we had to select that date was due to the fact that Amazon needed time, they said, to prepare for collecting the sales tax. Then we saw that 4 other states have earlier dates than that, and I think for the hometown brick and mortar businesses, it was only fair with school sales coming up and holiday season at the end of this year to put them on a level playing field with everybody else.
Do you think that bill will pass this year?
Well, it passed the House overwhelmingly. My work is in the Senate to get it heard there, and I know I'm fighting an uphill battle there, but we'll see what we can do.
Representative Dermody, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here, thank you.
I'm Leslie Weidenbender with the StateHouseFile.com and Comcast Newsmakers.